In this video we're going to take a look at a really cool way of practicing chords on the guitar. We're going to be discussing a tonal principle called the cycle 5 chord progression. And what it is really is a way of arranging the scale chords of any key and putting them in a really neat sounding chord progression. So we'll be working in the key of C. So the first thing we're going to do is have a look at our circle of fifths that we're all familiar with, and I'm going to go through and eliminate all the notes that are not in the key of C. So taking out B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat and F sharp. And now here's what our cycle 5 looks like now that we've taken out all the notes that are not in the key of C. We've just left the positioning of the notes in the same order, the same sequence as they would appear around the original circle of fifths, but we've just taken out the notes that are not in the key of C. So what this diagram represents is the root movement around circle of fifths in the key of C. Now the next thing I'm going to do is put in the chord qualities. I'm going to add the chord qualities in. And in this case this would be C major 7th, this would be F major 7, B minor 7 flat 5, E minor 7, A minor 7, D minor 7 and G 7. So let's recap. The first thing we did was eliminate the notes that were not in the key of C, and this left us with the root notes C, F, B, E, A, D and G, and then we filled in the scale chord quality that relates to each root note in the key of C. So now we have C major 7, F major 7, B minor 7 flat 5, or B half diminished as I have it written here on the screen, E minor 7, A minor 7, D minor 7 and G 7th. And we're going to be playing the chords in an anti-clockwise manner. That's the chord sequence we're going to play on the guitar. But just before we go to the guitar, I'd like to just clear up one thing for you in case you're wondering why it's called a cycle 5. And that's because the distance between all the root notes, when you're moving in a clockwise manner, the interval distance between each of the root notes is a fifth. The distance between C and G is a fifth. The distance between G and D is a fifth, and so on, right around the cycle. Now of course there's many different ways we can play this chord progression on the guitar. For the purpose of this video I'm just going to set two criteria when I'm selecting the chords. Firstly, that each chord will only have 4 notes in it, and secondly that the chords will be close to each other on the guitar fretboard so that we don't have to move around a great deal. And so this is how I'm playing the C major 7th chord. The root note is marked with a clear dot. And here's the F major 7th chord shape I'm using. Again, the root note is marked as a clear dot, and take particular notice how I'm barring the 1st, 2nd and 3rd string with my 3rd finger. Now it's a good idea to practice these chords in pairs. In other words, practice the C major 7th shape moving to the F major 7th shape. Before we go any further, let's have a listen to the cycle 5 chord progression so we can hear how the whole chord sequence sounds.